The invitation, the galaxy had waited for this day. For years, whispers of humanity had spread through the stars. A young species from a small blue world, they had grown stronger after every war, after every attempt to break them. The Galactic Council believed the time had finally come to tame them. So, the Council sent an invitation. It was written in the language of diplomacy, but everyone knew the truth. The invitation was not about peace. It was a command dressed in soft words. The aliens wanted humans to kneel, to accept their place as servants of the greater galaxy. The meeting would take place in the neutral system of Valora Prime, a world known for its shining cities of glass and its skies filled with silver ships. Every empire sent its fleets to watch. Every leader took their seat in the great chamber, waiting for Earth's representatives. The council chamber was a grand circle, with towering spires reaching above the clouds. Holograms of hundreds of species flickered, their voices buzzing. In 1,000 tongues, some expected humans to beg, others expected them to resist, but all believed the council held the power at the center. The High Speaker of the council, an old alien with scaled skin and golden eyes, raised his hand for silence. His voice echoed through the chamber. Today, humanity will choose. They will accept peace, or they will face what no world has survived. The room rumbled with approval. Fleets outside adjusted their positions. Thousands of cannons pointed at the void, ready to burn any human ship that dared to resist. The aliens waited minutes, turned into hours. The great doors of the chamber stayed closed. The skies above Valora Prime shimmered with silence. The aliens grew restless. Where were the human diplomats? Where were the men in suits and robes, carrying empty promises and false smiles? Then the stars moved. At first, it was only a shadow far away, deep in the blackness beyond Valora Prime. But soon it grew, bigger, darker, a shape so massive it blotted out the light of the system's twin suns. A ship, no, not just a ship. A monster. Gasps filled the chamber. The holograms shook with static as scanners failed to measure the size of the vessel. It was not sleek or elegant like the alien cruisers. It was brutal. Black steel covered its surface, broken only by glowing scars of blue energy. Its cannons were the size of cities. Its engines burned like dying stars. The name appeared on every alien screen. UN's Leviathan, Planet Killer Class. The council chamber fell silent. No diplomats, no negotiators, no soft words of surrender. Earth had not sent peace. Earth had sent a weapon designed to erase worlds. Outside, alien fleets scrambled. Thousands of ships moved into formation, surrounding the monster in the void. Their commanders shouted orders. Fighters swarmed like insects, but none dared to fire first. Inside the chamber, the High Speaker's voice cracked. What is this madness? Where are the diplomats? No answer came, only a signal. The warship spoke. Its voice was not a human face, not a smiling politician. It was a cold machine voice, sharp as steel and heavy as thunder. This is Earth's answer. The words echoed across every fleet, every city, every hall of the council. Aliens shifted nervously. Some shouted for calm, others demanded war. But no one could ignore the truth. Humanity had arrived, and they had chosen not to talk. The UN's Leviathan did not move closer. It simply hovered, silent and terrifying, as if daring the galaxy to test it. Its weapons glowed faintly, like predators baring their teeth before the kill. The council chamber erupted with chaos. Some leaders begged to send envoys. Others screamed to fire immediately before the monster could strike. The High Speaker struggled to regain control. His golden eyes flickered with fear. He slammed his staff on the floor, and his voice rang out once more. They will listen. They must listen. No species would dare challenge the galaxy alone. But deep down, every alien in that chamber felt the same cold truth. Humanity had dared. Humanity had already given their answer. Far above Valora Prime, the shadow of the Leviathan covered the skies. The people of the planet looked up in terror as the giant ship blocked out their suns. They whispered prayers. They called their families, and they waited for fire to fall. But no fire came. Not yet. The Leviathan stayed silent, its guns quiet, its engines humming like the growl of a sleeping beast. It was a message, a warning. Humanity had not come to bow. Humanity had come to show what awaited those who thought Earth could be controlled. The aliens had invited diplomats, but Earth had sent a planet-killer, asterisk. The arrival of fear. The UN's Leviathan hung in the void like a dark god, watching in silence. Its shadow stretched across Valora Prime, casting the capital city into a twilight that felt unnatural. The people below whispered that the suns themselves had been swallowed by the humans. Inside the council chamber, fear spread like fire. Alien. Leaders shouted over each other, their voices rising in panic. Some demanded that the human ship be ordered away. Others cried out that it must be destroyed before it struck. The chamber shook with chaos. For centuries, the Galactic Council had ruled without challenge. No world dared to defy its will. But now, one single ship was enough to silence them all. The High Speaker slammed his staff against the floor, his golden eyes burning with anger. "Order your fleets," he barked. "They will not intimidate us. Humanity must obey the law of the galaxy." But his words rang hollow. Everyone in that chamber knew the truth. The galaxy's law meant nothing if it could not be enforced. And the Leviathan was proof that enforcement would come at a cost none were willing to pay. In orbit, alien fleets moved nervously around the giant warship. Thousands of cruisers and frigates circled, but none dared close the gap. Their scanners tried to measure its weapons, but every reading failed. Its armor seemed endless, its shields unreadable. It was a fortress wrapped in shadows. Then, without warning, the Leviathan's engines flared. The monster shifted, turning slowly, and its cannons followed. Hundreds of guns, each larger than a city block, locked onto the nearest fleet. Every alien ship lit up with alarms. Commanders shouted orders. Some ships began to retreat. Others stood frozen, waiting for death. But the Leviathan did not fire. Instead, its cold voice thundered again across every channel. Your peace was never peace. Your law was never law. We remember your chains. We remember your threats. This is our answer. The message was simple, but it carried the weight of every war humanity had fought, every ultimatum they had survived on Valora Prime. The message echoed across the streets. Citizens ran into shelters. Families huddled together, waiting for fire to rain from the sky. The planet had hosted countless council meetings before, but never had its people felt such terror. Inside the council chamber, silence followed the broadcast. Every leader knew what the Leviathan meant. Humanity had not come to discuss terms. They had come to declare independence in the only language the galaxy truly understood: power. A bold voice broke the silence. It belonged to Admirals, commander of one of the Council's largest fleets. His scales shimmered under the lights as he rose. "They are only one ship," he growled. "One ship cannot defy the galaxy. Give me the order, and I will burn them from the stars." Some in the chamber cheered at his courage. Others trembled at his foolishness. The High Speaker turned to him, desperate for strength. "Then do it, Admiral. Show them that no world can stand against us." Zorath saluted and sent the command. The first attack began. Dozens of cruisers broke formation and unleashed their cannons. Beams of plasma, bright as suns, lanced through the void and struck the Leviathan's shields. Explosions bloomed against its black armor. Fire rained across its hull. But when the smoke cleared, the Leviathan still stood, unharmed, untouched. Shields had absorbed everything. The alien fleet panicked. Some ships tried again, firing with every weapon they had. Missiles, torpedoes, railguns, thousands of shots slammed into the warship. But nothing worked. The Leviathan simply waited, patient and silent, as if mocking their efforts. Inside the chamber, alien leaders stared at their screens in horror. Their strongest fleet could not even scratch the monster. Then, with terrifying calm, the Leviathan answered. One cannon fired. A beam of blue-white energy streaked across space, so bright it blinded every scanner. In an instant, the lead cruiser of Admiral Zoroth's fleet vanished, not destroyed, as if it had never existed. The beam continued, slicing through 6 more ships behind it. Silence. Entire ships, entire crews. Gone in less than a heartbeat. "Admiral." Zoroth's voice cracked as he shouted for retreat. His once proud fleet scattered like frightened insects. None dared face another shot. Back in the chamber, the High Speaker's hands shook as he gripped his staff. The alien leaders argued no more. They only stared at the images on the screens, at the Leviathan's single cannon glowing in the dark. One shot had broken their courage. One shot had silenced the galaxy. The warship's voice returned once more, cold and final. "Do not mistake our silence for weakness. We do not bow. We do not forget. Test us again, and you will not live to regret it." The message ended. The Leviathan's guns went dark again, but its presence remained a black shadow reminding the galaxy of what Earth had become. Across Valora Prime, fear turned to whispers. The people looked up at the sky and spoke the name humanity, not with scorn, but with dread. Stories began to spread, even as the warship stayed silent. Stories of a world that would not kneel, a world that would fight the galaxy itself if it had to. The Council had invited diplomats. Instead, Earth had sent a planet killerand with it. A lesson the galaxy would never forget. The test of fire, the wreckage of Admiral Zoroth's fleet still drifted in orbit. Glowing shards of metal and shattered hulls slowly falling toward Valora Prime's atmosphere. The Leviathan did not move. It stood silent among the debris, watching. For the first time in history, the Galactic Council chamber was quiet. No voices shouted. No speeches filled the air. Only the low hum of fear. The High Speaker stared at the screen. His hands trembled as he tried to form words, but his voice cracked. They erased him, his whole fleet, with one strike. Others looked away, refusing to meet each other's eyes. The arrogance of the Council, built over centuries, had been broken in a single heartbeat, in the streets of Valora Prime. Civilians looked up at the sky in terror. They could see the wreckage burning as it entered the atmosphere. Streaks of fire rained across the city, leaving trails of smoke. People screamed and ran for cover. Some dropped to their knees, praying to their gods. Others whispered new words: humans, the planet killers, the shadow from Earth. Fear became legend, spreading faster than the flames, but the council was not ready to surrender. Not yet. From the far side of the chamber, a tall figure rose. Chancellor Verid, leader of the Valkyrie Alliance, spoke with a sharp and cold tone. They are strong, but they are still only one ship. If we strike together with all fleets, they cannot withstand us. A few leaders nodded. The thought of victory, no matter how slim, gave them a spark of courage. The High Speaker latched onto that spark. Yes, if we unite, they cannot prevail. Order every fleet to prepare. Valora Prime will not fall to a single warship. The council roared back to life. Commands were sent. Thousands of fleets across the galaxy moved toward Valora Prime. Carriers, destroyers, dreadnoughts, the greatest gathering of warships since the founding of the council. This was not a defense. It was a test. They would test humanity. They would test if the Leviathan could truly survive against the fire of the galaxy itself. Hours later, the void filled with warships. Hundreds became thousands. The sky above Valora Prime burned with the engines of the largest fleet ever assembled. The people of the planet looked up in awe and terror. Some believed salvation had come. Others believed they were about to witness the end of their world. Inside the Leviathan, silence reigned. Its crew, hidden deep within the warship, waited with calm determination. They did not panic. They did not doubt. They had come prepared for this. The voice returned, cold and unyielding. You bring fleets, we bring fire. Then the battle began. The galaxy fired first. From every direction, beams of plasma, missiles, and energy cannons filled the void. The combined firepower of 1,000 fleets unleashed at once. The darkness of space was drowned in blinding light. The Leviathan vanished. Inside the storm, explosions ripped around its hull. Fire tore through the stars. To those watching from Valora Prime, it looked as if the human warship had been swallowed. Cheers erupted in the council chamber. The High Speaker slammed his staff in triumph. They are finished. Humanity is finished. But the cheers died too quickly. The light faded, and when the smoke cleared, the Leviathan still stood, untouched, unbroken. Its shields shimmered like calm water brushing away waves. The chamber fell silent again. The fleet commanders stared, their screens in disbelief. The Leviathan's cannons began to glow. One by one, the warship fired. Its spinal cannon unleashed another burning beam, carving through an entire battle line. 50 ships vanished in the blink of an eye. Its side batteries roared, releasing storms of fire that tore through carriers and dreadnoughts like paper. Missiles larger than buildings launched from hidden ports, cutting through swarms of fighters, and bombers, entire squadrons, vanished in explosions. Every weapon on the Leviathan fired with precision. Not one shot missed. Each strike destroyed dozens of ships. The void became a graveyard. Inside the council chamber, chaos returned. Leaders screamed at their commanders to retreat, but retreat was impossible. The Leviathan was faster than it looked. It moved with terrifying grace, cutting through fleets with ease. Chancellor Verid slammed his fists against the console. Impossible. Nothing can withstand this. Nothing, but deep down, he knew the truth. Humanity had built this warship not for show, not as a bluff. They had built it as a weapon of survival, a weapon of warning. On Valora Prime, panic spread. The civilians could see it now with their own eyes. Fleets burning in orbit, warships falling from the sky, fire raining down upon the world. The people screamed humanity's name in terror, begging their leaders to surrender. But the council still hesitated. To admit defeat would be to admit weakness. And then the Leviathan proved there was no choice. Its engines roared, and the warship turned, its massive cannon toward Valora Prime itself, the capital world of the galaxy, the very heart of the council. For a heartbeat, the planet seemed to stop spinning. The entire galaxy held its breath. The voice came again, deeper than ever. One world, one strike. Do not force our hand. The cannon glowed brighter, energy gathering into a sun. The message was clear. The Leviathan did not need to destroy the planet to win. The threat was enough, and the galaxy finally understood. This was no warship. This was humanity's ultimatum. Asterisk, the breaking point. The glow of the Leviathan's main cannon bathed Valora Prime in an eerie blue light. Entire cities on the surface fell into silence as the people stared upward. It looked like a new sun had risen in the sky, but this sun promised only death. Inside the council chamber, leaders froze. No one spoke, no one moved. The cannon's light reflected in their terrified eyes. At last, Chancellor Verid's voice broke the silence. They will not fire. They cannot. Destroying the capital would bring the entire galaxy against them. But his words trembled. He did not believe them. No one did. The High Speaker gripped his staff so tightly his knuckles bled. His voice was sharp but hollow. Signal every ship to regroup. Hold the line. Humanity cannot be allowed to think they can. His words died as the Leviathan fired. The beam did not strike Valora Prime. Instead, it sliced through the planet's outer defense ring. Dozens of massive defense platforms, built over centuries, vanished in an instant. Entire structures, the size of cities, turned to glowing dust. The message was clear. Humanity had chosen mercy, but not weakness. The chamber erupted in panic. Leaders screamed. Some demanded surrender, others demanded retaliation. The council fractured before the High Speaker's eyes. Admiral Zorath, his scales burned and his pride broken, appeared on the screen. His fleet was in ruins, his voice hoarse. We cannot win, I repeat, we cannot win. Pull back before they erase us all. But others still clung to their arrogance. Chancellor Verid slammed his fists on the table. If we bow now, the humans will never stop. We must fight to the last ship, the last world. Across the chamber, voices clashed. Some begged for peace, others screamed for war. The council, once united, now looked like frightened children. Meanwhile, the Leviathan hovered in silence, waiting. Its cannon dimmed, but its presence weighed heavier than ever. Inside, Captain Aria Voss stood before her crew. She was calm, her face hard, her voice steady. They still do not understand, but they will. Today we teach them. Her officers nodded. None questioned her. They had all seen humanity pushed, threatened, and dismissed by this galaxy. They knew why they were here. This was not conquest. This was survival. On Valora Prime streets, fear turned to chaos. Civilians rushed into shelters. Crowds stormed spaceports, desperate to flee the capital. Whispers spread faster than fire. Earth will burn us. Run before the humans strike again. They are worse than the old legends. Some began to riot. Others prayed. The people of the capital world, once proud of living at the center of the galaxy, now begged for mercy. Council chamber became a battlefield of words. They will destroy us all. One leader cried, "We cannot bend to barbarians." Shouted another, "Then you fight them," came the reply. The High Speaker's voice cracked as he tried to restore order. "Enough, we will decide nothing." In chaos, but it was too late. The council was collapsing under its own fear. Then the Leviathan spoke again, its voice shaking every world that listened. "You call this peace, you call this law, but you rule with fear. You enslave with threats. You chained humanity once, never again." The voice grew colder, sharper. "You wanted talks. Here is our answer. Leave us be your face, fire beyond your nightmares." The words echoed like thunder. Chancellor Verid snarled, desperate to cling to power. "They are bluffing. They cannot fight the entire galaxy forever." But even as he spoke, new reports arrived. On the council's screens, fleets from distant systems were refusing to deploy. Soldiers were deserting. Entire colonies were refusing to fight. The galaxy itself was breaking apart. The truth spread like wildfire. One human warship had broken. The greatest fleet ever assembled. No one wanted to be next. The High Speaker's eyes dimmed with defeat. He saw the truth that Verid refused to admit. Humanity had won. He dropped his staff, its sound echoing in the chamber. Slowly, painfully, he raised his voice. "We will withdraw. Order all fleets. To retreat. This war is over before it has begun." The words fell heavy, but they were final. Chancellor Verid screamed in rage. "Cowards, weaklings, you will doom us all." He drew a blade from his robes and charged at the High Speaker. But before he reached him, guards tackled him to the ground. His cries echoed. As he was dragged away, his voice breaking into madness. "The humans will kill us all. You fools, you think this is mercy, but it is only the beginning." His words haunted the chamber, even as silence returned. Outside, fleets began to scatter. Ships jumped to hyperspace, abandoning Valora Prime. The sky above the capital, once filled with thousands of warships, grew empty. The Leviathan did not chase them. It simply waited, patient as a predator that had proven its dominance. On the planet below, civilians wept in relief. The cannon had not fired again. The city still stood, but no one celebrated. Everyone knew it had been a mercy, not a victory. In the council chamber, leaders sat in silence. The High Speaker's voice was tired, broken. "Send word to Earth. Tell them the council will not interfere again." The decision was made. The galaxy had bent, but the fear remained. As the Leviathan turned away from Valora Prime, its engines lighting the void, the galaxy watched in silence. Every leader, every soldier, every civilian now understood the truth. Humanity had been tested, and the galaxy had broken first. Asterisk the new order. The Leviathan drifted silently through the void, its massive shadows stretching across the stars. Behind it, the wreckage of fleets glowed faintly. A graveyard of ships that once represented the pride of the Galactic Council. But now, that pride lay in ruins. For the first time in living memory, Valora Primed, the heart of the galaxy, had bowed, not by negotiation, not by treaty, but by fear. In the council chamber, the silence was unbearable. The High Speaker sat slumped in his chair, his staff broken across his knees. Around him, leaders avoided each other's gaze. None dared to speak. Their power was shattered. Their authority burned away. At last, one trembling voice broke the stillness. What? What do we tell our people? No one answered, because there was no answer. The truth was too heavy to speak aloud, that they had faced humanity, and they had lost. On the surface of Valora Prime, the people watched the Leviathan slowly turn away. Some wept in relief, others fell to their knees, believing they had been spared by divine will. Children pointed at the sky and whispered about the giant shadow. Traders spoke of the earth demon. Soldiers whispered another word, one that spread from mouth to mouth, until even the streets carried it. The planet killer. The legend had already begun. Inside the Leviathan, Captain Aria Voss stood before her crew. Her voice carried the weight of victory, but also caution. We came here not to conquer, but to warn. The galaxy now understands. Let them never forget it. Her officers stood at attention, none cheered. They all understood the burden of what they had done. Humanity had made its point, but at a cost. Every star now looked at Earth with fear. Aria's gaze hardened. We did not want war, but if they bring it again, let them remember today. Let them remember the Leviathan. The crew saluted. Humanity had spoken, with fire and silence followed. Far from Valora Prime, in colonies and outposts, word of the battle spread like wildfire. Merchants whispered in taverns. Soldiers spoke in hushed tones. Leaders read reports and clenched their hands in fear. Some saw hope. If humanity could rise against the mighty council, then perhaps others could too. For the oppressed Earth became a symbol of resistance. For the rulers, Earth became the shadow that haunted every decision. But not everyone accepted defeat. From the depths of his cell, Chancellor Verid raged. His screams echoed against cold walls. Fools, they have only begun their conquest. You cannot trust them. They will burn us all. He clawed at the stone, his eyes wild. One ship today. Tomorrow, a fleet of planet killers, and you let them live. Guards silenced him, but his words lingered. Not everyone would forgive humanity. Some would plot in the shadows. Some would seek revenge. But even they could not deny the truth. Humanity had changed the balance of the galaxy forever. On Earth, celebrations erupted. News of the Leviathans stand spread across cities, colonies, and starships. Humanity had faced the greatest powers of the galaxy and had not only survived, but triumphed, for the first time. Earth was not the outsider, not the outcast, not the weak voice in a vast council now. Earth was feared. Decades later, the memory of that day did not fade. Children across the galaxy grew up with stories of the Leviathan. Some told it as a warning. Do not anger Earth, or the planet killer will come. Others told it as hope. If even humans could rise, so can we. Legends changed, but one truth remained. Humanity was no longer ignored. In secret archives of Valora Prime, records were sealed. Reports of the battle were hidden, rewritten, or erased. Officially, the Council claimed it had been a misunderstanding, that the battle had been exaggerated. But whispers always escaped. The Council could bury facts, but it could not bury fear. Years later, on the edge of the Orion Spur, a young alien cadet stared at a training screen. Images of the Leviathan filled the projection. Its dark hull, its glowing cannon, the silent shadow that had broken the galaxy's pride. The cadet whispered softly, almost like a prayer, "I hope I never see it." Beside him, his instructor nodded grimly. "If you do, run." And somewhere in the quiet black between stars, the Leviathan sailed on. It was no longer just a warship. It was a symbol, a warning. a shadow that would live in the galaxy's memory forever. The day humanity gave its answer, the day the galaxy learned to fear Earth.